So our story begins with a special kind of music that, when played, could actually attract spirits. There were certain people who could play this music with such power that it could break down the barrier between the living and the dead. Back in the old days, these musicians were known as the Fire People. Our story kicks off with twin brothers, Smoke and Stack. These two were World War I veterans who had just returned to Mississippi. Before this, they'd been living it up in Chicago making serious cash as part of a gang. Now, with all that money, they wanted to open up a juke joint back in their hometown, complete with music, dancing, drinks, and gambling. This was specifically for the African American community. They bought a place from this white guy named Hogwood. This dude was straight up racist, constantly spitting at both brothers while they were talking. But man, when he saw their cash, his eyes lit up with greed. The brothers paid him and bought the land. Next, they started putting together their team for the juke joint. They hired their cousin Semi to handle guitar and vocals. Later, Stack and Semi split off and recruited a guy named Delta Slim, who was killer on the piano. That's also where Semi met a female singer. Meanwhile, Stack ran into his girlfriend Mary, who was seriously ticked off at him. She'd been waiting for him for years, but Stack never came back to see her. After that, Stack, Semi, and Delta Slim head out to a cotton field where they recruit their old buddy Cornbread to be the security guard for their juke joint. Smoke also hits up a local Chinese shop where he hires a Chinese couple, Grace and Bo, to handle the catering and gambling operations. Then Smoke meets up with his wife, but their relationship isn't exactly smooth sailing. Now we're introduced to this guy Remick, who shows up at Bert and John's house. He's a couple, running from some people who are after him. A little while later, some folks come looking for him, and guess what? They're vampire hunters. They ask Bert and John about Remick, but the couple makes up some excuse and sends them packing. As soon as night falls, Remick transforms into a vampire and turns both Bert and John into vampires too. Meanwhile, Smoke and Stack's juke joint had opened up, and tonight was their grand opening. Even though Smoke and Stack were twin brothers, their personalities were totally different. Smoke was all business, serious and business-minded, while Stack was more fun-loving and went with his heart. At the juke joint, Smoke was pretty strict about the entry fee, no exceptions. He wanted everyone who came in to pay the full price. But Stack and Annie convinced him that people in their community worked hard all day and might not have much money, so they should still get a chance to come in. Semi and Delta Slim were performing inside the joint. Annie, Mary, and Perline had all shown up. Grace and Bo were handling the food, drinks, and gambling. Everyone inside was dancing and having a blast. After a while, Semi started performing some blues music. His singing was so incredible that spirits from both past and present started appearing around the place. His performance was so powerful that it attracted Remick and his vampire buddies, who showed up asking for permission to enter the juke joint. But Smoke and Stack refused to let them in because these guys seemed sketchy as hell. So Remick and his crew started singing outside instead. That's when things started going sideways inside the juke joint. Semi and Perline got intimate. Mary and Stack got into an argument. When Mary stepped outside, she saw Remick and his crew. They showed her a gold cross and asked her to join them. But then drool started dripping from Remick's mouth and he attacked Mary, turning her into a vampire. Mary came back into the juke joint, got permission from Cornbread to enter, and seduced Stack. She got intimate with him, but then she attacked and killed Stack. Smoke saw this and got super emotional. In his rage, he shot Mary, but the bullets had no effect on her. She just laughed and ran off. After this incident, Smoke told everyone to get out of the juke joint. Annie explained to him that this was the work of vampirism. Smoke had a hard time believing it, but he couldn't deny what he'd seen with his own eyes. Then Cornbread came outside the juke joint asking Smoke for permission to come in. Hearing this, Annie said that vampires can't enter any place without permission. This meant Cornbread had also become a vampire. To cover it up, Cornbread said he just wanted his pay for the day's work. As soon as Smoke reached out to give him the money, Cornbread tried to bite him, but Smoke was a fighter and attacked him right back. After this whole incident, it became impossible to tell who had become a vampire and who hadn't. That's when Stack, who had died earlier, got up as a vampire. But before he could attack anyone, Annie threw pickled garlic juice on him and drove him away. She then told everyone that vampires could only be killed with silver or wooden stakes, and garlic could repel them. Annie gave Smoke a talisman to keep him safe and told all the survivors inside to eat pickled garlic to prove they were human and not vampires. A lot of people had come to the juke joint from outside, but now the vampires had attacked them all, and they were all dancing and singing as vampires. Even Grace's husband Bo had become a vampire, which meant only a few humans were left in the juke joint. Smoke told everyone to spend the night there because as soon as the sun came up, the vampires would have to flee since they couldn't survive in sunlight. That's when Remick showed up and tried to convince everyone to become vampires. He said vampirism was the right path for them because there's no discrimination in that life. They'd get immortality, freedom, and liberation from racism. We also learned that when a vampire turns someone, they can access their memories. Remick said society would never respect them no matter how much money they made, so it was better to become vampires. Stack, now a vampire, was happy because he was with Mary. Remick wanted Smoke and his crew to become vampires too, but Smoke and the others flat out refused. Remick really wanted Semi to become a vampire because Semi's music and voice had a magical quality. He could move both new and old spirits, which is why they desperately wanted to turn Semi into a vampire. Grace was already furious about her husband's death, and that's when Remick said he'd attack her daughter who was home right now. Hearing this, Grace got super angry and challenged the vampires, which meant they could now enter. A fight broke out between everyone. In this fight, Annie, Grace, and Delta Slim died. Delta Slim sacrificed his life to save Semi, Smoke, and Perline. Mary got disturbed by Annie's death and ran away. This was heartbreaking because Stack had bitten Annie and she was about to become a vampire. So Smoke had no choice but to kill her with a wooden stake. On the other side, Perline and Semi started running, but Remick and Stack cornered them. A fight started between Smoke and Stack, while Semi and Perline fought Remick to save themselves. During this, the vampires bit Perline. She told Semi to save himself and run. Semi grabbed his guitar and hit Remick on the head with it. Since the guitar had silver plating, it caused Remick serious pain. Though it didn't kill him, it hurt like hell. That's when Smoke showed up and killed Remick with a wooden stake. A little while later, the sun came up and all the vampires burned to death. Smoke was badly injured by now. He thought about his wife and daughter one last time, and then Smoke died too. Semi was devastated and exhausted. He returned to his father at the church. His father was a pastor who advised Semi to choose salvation over music. But Semi completely refused this advice. He grabbed his guitar, walked out of the church, and that's where our story ends. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more short movie recaps like this one. Thanks for watching.